LANDR is one of my favorite music distributors because you earn 100% of your royalties, your music never gets taken down even if you cancel, and you get a ton of professional features for your music career, such as automatic royalty splits for collaborators, cover song licensing, which we'll go over today, promotion tools, and so much more. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the whole distribution process step by step in LANDR distribution. But just as a recap, distribution is just one part of the entire suite of tools that you get in LANDR Studio. And if you're new, I already filmed a complete walkthrough of their whole platform, so I'll leave that in the description below. And also in the description is the 20% off coupon code that I asked LANDR to provide viewers of this video. So if you want to grab an account, follow along on this video, and release your music on over 150 stores, including Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music, then click the link below to save money on your LANDR account. So here I am now in the music distribution part of their app, and let's click Start a Release to begin distribution. If you're following along, here's what you'll need to get started. First, you're gonna need your fully mixed and mastered audio ready for distribution. Then you'll need all of the track data and all the release information, including credits. Then you'll also need your album art completely finished, ready for upload. Then you'll need all the applicable licenses and sample clearances if you're using samples in your track. And lastly, we'll select the distribution territories before launching this to the world. Today, I'm actually going to distribute a cover song that I mastered in LANDR Mastering. What I did is I uploaded the WAV file from my studio and I put the finishing touches on the track using LANDR's AI mastering. And it didn't change much, but it did give me that last maybe 5% that I wanted. And it's almost like getting a second pair of ears on the audio. And so because I used LANDR Mastering, my track is already in their system and I can just click add a track and it'll be here in my library of WAV files. You can also just drag and drop your WAV file into this box here, but since it's already in my account, I'm just gonna select the mastered audio and it'll add to my release. Now that my audio is uploaded, I need to give all of the general information and track data for this song. And below, you'll even see that I need to upload any documents that prove I have the rights to release this. I'm gonna go over that later in the video, but it starts out really easy. First, you just answer these two checkboxes. Is this track already released? And do you have your own ISRC code? This is important, especially if you're transferring your music from a different distributor onto LANDR, because if you've distributed your song already, then you do have an ISRC code. And once I click this box, the ISRC code will appear. Now, you can also purchase ISRCs on other platforms and bring them in. Some mastering engineers will do this for you. So you might have ISRCs even if you're releasing your song for the first time. Either way, answering these two questions will give you the correct fields so that you can fill out the correct information for your track. If I was transferring my track from another distributor, I would type my ISRC code here, but today I'm going to leave both of these boxes unchecked and I'll let LANDR Distribution provide a free ISRC for me. I added in my track title, select the language, and be sure to follow the guidelines listed here below. By not following these style guides, your music might either get rejected or just completely reformatted during the music upload process. So getting it right here is going to keep it consistent across all streaming platforms. If applicable, go ahead and check this box to add a track version. It is important to use this section of the tool to specify if it's a remix or a radio edit and not include it in the track title. That's not applicable for this song, so I'm going to uncheck it and then select your genre in the dropdown. After you've done that, just select the preview clip time if you want to specify it for social media platforms. By not putting a start time, it'll just default to the social media platform's default timestamp. But if you want to scrub through your track above and find the best part, you can then insert the timestamp right here and make it a little more customized for your song. Next, scrolling down, we need to specify what artists are on the track. And if you're using a new LANDR account, just like my test account, you'll see no one in the dropdown. So just start typing the artist name. Once you've typed the name correctly, click Create a New Artist to create that artist in LANDR so that you can save these details for future releases inside of your LANDR account. Now, if you've used other distributors before and you have music currently released, you're going to want to check this box so that you can link the existing Spotify profiles and Apple Music profiles to this artist in your LANDR account. That way your new music accidentally won't get distributed in a separate artist profile, creating duplicate profiles for your same band or for your same artist. So since we have used other distributors before and this artist does have profiles on Spotify, we're gonna go through this step really quick. Nice. Once all profiles are linked, go ahead and click the Add Artist button. Now this next part can get a little tricky depending on your situation, how you're collaborating with other musicians, and how to properly credit them. And it's important to know that depending on where you place an artist's name in one of these fields, it'll appear differently on Spotify. For example, placing a second artist as a primary artist will ensure that both artists receive this release in their discographies. I'll show you an example because this is what I did on my last release. Here's my track Broken, and you can see that my name and the name of my collaborator, Rude, were both listed on this track, which is normal. But if you go to my Spotify profile, you'll see that it's in my discography. And if you go to his Spotify profile, you'll see that it's in his discography also. So if you want that situation and you want the credits to appear in that way, then list you and your collaborators as primary artists. Now in these other two fields, both featured artists and remixers are not treated the same way on Spotify. This Taylor Swift song is an example because it's credited as Taylor Swift and Post Malone on this track, Fortnite. However, if you go over to Post Malone's profile, you'll see that this is not appearing in his discography, it's appearing down below in the Appears On section. And that's because he's a featured artist, not another primary artist. So if that's more appropriate to your situation and your collaborator is more of a featured artist and it needs to appear here on Spotify rather than here on Spotify, then you're gonna wanna place that artist's name here in this featured artists box. Scrolling down, remixers will also be treated in that same way, and their credit will show in the Appears On section on Spotify. So use that if that's applicable for you. And contributors is going to be pretty rare, but you can add these additional roles if you need to. And lastly, under producers, this is where you get to credit the producers of this track. And this appears in a unique place on Spotify as well. If we pull up that same Taylor Swift track and we click the three dots, we can view the credits and you'll see right here, this track is produced by Jack Antonoff and Taylor Swift. So use this producers box to accomplish that as well for your release. Scrolling down under lyrics, I think LANDR scanned my audio and correctly determined that this was an instrumental. So this box came already checked for me, but if I uncheck the box, then you'll see some more settings for lyrical pieces, such as specifying if your track contains explicit lyrics, the language of the lyrics, as well as any lyricists that you'd like to credit. Definitely credit yourself. If you are a singer-songwriter, you can add yourself here and be sure to use your legal name. This is how I would fill it out if this was for my own song. I would type my first and last name, my legal name. And then if you are a self-published artist, which means that you own your own publishing and you're not signed to a publishing deal, then just check the box to get rid of that publisher field because you are your own publisher. If you are signed to a publishing deal or you have set up a separate publishing entity, which some songwriters do, then you'll simply put the publisher's legal name here in the box below. After adding your lyricists, they'll show up right here. But again, since this is actually an instrumental, I'm just gonna check the box. Next is the composition type, and this is very straightforward if this is your original song. Just leave this item checked and add yourself as a composer by putting your first and last name. And similarly to the last step, check this box if you are self-published or put in the publisher. It's as simple as that. However, if you are covering a song, it actually gets a little more exciting. Change the composition type to cover song, and now we have some more options. If you still need to license your cover song, which is required by law, select I need a license, and LANDR will secure that license for you. It's super convenient. All you have to do is pay a $15 fee one time, it's not reoccurring, and they'll get the license for you. This is a super great feature at a great price because other websites oftentimes charge more than $15 to do this. Now, if you already have a cover song license, check the box, I already have a license, and you will be required to upload that proof of rights document down below. If you already bought your cover song license from another website, just go to your order receipt, click Proof of Licensing, and download your proof of license document with all of your license numbers from that service. Once that has been downloaded, go ahead and add that document in the proof of rights section, choose Other in the drop-down, and select Upload File. Then you can now drag your license into LANDR. This is so LANDR knows that you have all the necessary permissions and they can have it on file and have your back if anyone, including Spotify or anyone else, questions whether or not you should be distributing this track. Now, I don't want to move on too far because we're still in this composition section. I wanted to talk about cover song licenses. If you are going to use LANDR's built-in cover song licensing and you need a license still, go ahead and click this link to open the Mechanical Licensing Collective song database. Using this database, they call it the MLC Public Work Search. This is where you get the exact information that you're going to place here in this cover song licensing section of your distribution. Let me show you how this works. Again, the track that I'm distributing today is called I've Got Rhythm. It's by George Gershwin, and I'm going to put all of that information into the MLC Work Search. Once I've put all of the criteria that I know of in these fields, and honestly, I just used Google a little bit to help me out here, I'm going to click search, and the MLC Public Work Search is going to spit back all of the information I need for licensing. Now, if you cannot find the song that you're covering in this database, then you're going to have to unfortunately reach out directly to the owner of the rights. You have to reach out to the publisher. And if it's an obscure song, maybe the artist is self-published and the only way to get their permission is to contact them directly, then that's what you need to do. This is a really helpful tool if the song is in the system. I just want you to know that this is just a database and does not contain every song that was ever written in all of time. So here are my results, and right away, this top result is looking correct. I know that the writers are George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin, and I'm going to use this information inside of the distribution process right here. So the original song title is I Got Rhythm, so I'm going to type that in right here. The original performing artists are right here, and I'm going to click in for more information. You can see it listed down below. And this is a tricky situation because there's over 13,000 recordings, but I'm just going to use George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin as the original recording artist just to really keep it simple. And over here in original composers, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to use the information provided by the MLC to list the correct composers for this cover song. I have all the information I need right here in this writer section. So I'm going to use George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin along with the publisher name WC Music Corp here in this Add a Composer pop-up box. There you have it. Now I've provided LANDR with everything that they need to secure this cover song license for me. And honestly, it's so nice that it's streamlined within the distribution process so I don't have to use some other website to secure the rights and then upload the proof of rights documents down below, and honestly sometimes pay more than $15 to do all this. So now that my cover song license request is fully completed, I'm going to scroll down to the license content section of this upload. This is where you specify if your track is 100% original. That means every instrument you recorded with a microphone, and there are no samples and no loops, and nothing from a library was used in your recording. For me, that's the case because I recorded the piano with my own mics, recorded it straight into my DAW, and there's no samples. However, a lot of you are going to be in the situation where you are using loops. You're using the royalty-free samples either included in your DAW, or you subscribe to a royalty-free sample library such as LANDR samples or Splice or these other libraries that give you exclusive sample libraries. Now, most of the time you won't need to upload any proof of rights or anything if you check this second box because this is all royalty-free stuff. However, if your track does contain licensed samples or beats or pieces of commercially released content, such as a clip from a movie or a radio broadcast or a television show, and you do have the rights to use it, then you'll need to check this third box and upload your proof of rights so that LANDR can have on file proof that you are using that beat legally, or you have licensed the dialogue from that movie that you're using as a sample in your song and gotten the correct permissions in order to actually monetize someone else's creative work. For the purposes of this song, this track is 100% original. Once again, because I just used microphones, and I'm gonna check the box to confirm that I have all the necessary rights for the distribution of this track, and because I am using the built-in cover song licensing that LANDR is providing, I don't need to upload any proof of cover song licensing. They're gonna secure it for me. So now I'm all good with this track, and I'm gonna hit save. All right, that was a lot to cover, and I wanted to include a ton of detail because from here on out, all you need to do is just repeat that process as you add more tracks. It's as simple as that. I'm not gonna do that on camera, but repeat everything that I just showed you and follow the same logic in clearing all of your licenses and everything that you need to do for your whole album or whatever you are trying to distribute. Once you've done that and you have all your tracks loaded into LANDR, go ahead and click Next at the bottom right. On the next screen, we need to input the release information, and LANDR detected that I'm releasing a single because I only added one track to the queue. If you are releasing an EP or an album, you'll do that for your album at this step. Follow along either way, and you can imagine the release information almost like being the information that you're gonna put on the physical CD. Whether there's a 10-track album or a single song on that physical CD, you still need to specify the details of the release in addition to any song or songs that are contained on that CD. So let's go through this form. Has the single been released before? In my case, no, but if it has been in your case, just indicate the date of the original release. Do you have a label? It's yes or no. You just enter the label name. Next, specify the composition owner, master recording owner, and the respective years for this release. LANDR just pulled the information from the song, but if it was different for any reason, for example, if I was signed to a record label, then I would have to update the ownership details for the release. Everything looks good here, so I'm gonna click Next on the bottom right. And next, we're gonna upload the cover art. If you already have your cover art made using traditional methods like through Photoshop, hiring a designer, or even using Canva, then you can just drag the final file into this box right here. Or you can generate cover art using AI, which is a brand new feature that LANDR has just rolled out. I'm not gonna spend time on this today because I already have my file made. I'm just gonna drag this into the upload area. We are now in the home stretch. All we need to do is decide a few details about our release. The first is deciding if you want your song to go live on a specific release date, or if you'd rather have distribution happen as soon as possible. I recommend setting a release date because you can build your marketing plan around a specific day, and you can also share an accurate countdown and focus your release efforts on day one, which you should do. Next, down below, select which services you would like to distribute to. Nearly every artist is going to have every box checked. I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want your music to be on some platforms and not on others, unless if there was some other distribution deal that you're a part of and you had to manage that, but that's not what this video is about. Usually independent artists will distribute everywhere. There's just one thing I want to point out, and it's that classical and jazz are not able to be sent to Apple Music. So you'll find this unchecked by default if you are a classical or a jazz musician. I actually had to change the genre for this tutorial just to have this not grayed out, because I know you guys would be curious in the comments. But this is not a LANDR specific thing. This is true of every distributor because it's actually an Apple Classical rule. Apple Classical is a curated music library unlike the rest of Apple Music. So us independent artists can't upload classical music to Apple Classical. I actually have a dedicated video on that, and I'll link it in the description below if you're curious about going down that rabbit hole. Speaking of restrictions, cover songs cannot be distributed to social media because the license doesn't cover it. So because this whole tutorial is revolving around a cover song, you'll see that all of these boxes are grayed out. But if you were distributing your original song, you would have the ability to check all of these boxes and indeed distribute to social media platforms. Lastly, at the bottom, you can restrict certain countries and certain territories if you wanted to. However, once again, I don't know why the average artist would, and so I'm going to leave this unchecked. Again, if you have some kind of specific situation or a specific distribution deal in addition to LANDR, then you might need to use this feature, but most of us will never touch this. After you're done with this screen, click Next at the bottom right to continue to review. This is your final check to ensure that everything is perfect. Check your spelling, check the spelling on your album art, and make sure that everything from the genre to the artist credits, everything that we covered in this video is perfectly accurate, especially the information if you are going to secure a cover song license. That should be perfectly accurate as well before you hit submit on the bottom right. If you are ready to try out LANDR distribution for yourself, don't forget to secure the 20% discount that I have linked in the description below. You save money and you help out the channel. It's a win-win. I wouldn't want you to sign up without that coupon. And if this video was helpful for you, be sure to hit like and subscribe on this video so that it can reach other independent artists just like you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.